I'm ready to go to playground, Lisa.
Yes, me
I'm
too.
ready to go out and play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm living the life of play, and watching that video just lit me up just to see it.
Exactly. And there's nothing just more joyous than seeing children at play. And I want to thank you for joining us and to tell us a little bit about KABOOM, but also to talk about the missing playgrounds in communities all across the city.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I feel so proud to be invited to the community, our community. Happy International Women's Month, Monday's International Women's Day. I'm just really proud to be a part of this. And I just think it's really beautiful what you're doing, lifting up our news and kind of our stories. So thanks for having me. And excited to talk about our work at KABOOM. I can start by just letting you know a little bit about who we are, and then just talk about why we exist. KABOOM, we're a national nonprofit. We've been working for the past 25 years to bring kids and communities together to design and then build their very own places to play. Every playground that we build is unique and it's community informed. A lot of power exists in our communities, and so we really rely on community voice to help us decide and determine what their space looks like, and then we get together and we build it. So very proud of the work we've been doing over the past 25 years. I can talk a little bit about just the background.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I find so interesting. I'm glad to see a person that looks like me as a CEO of KABOOM. I was not aware of that, and so I think that's significant. But how your work sort of drives the decisions why playgrounds are important, particularly in Black and Brown communities, and then what you all are doing to fill that void, because in a lot of cases they just haven't been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. Number one, I am newly appointed as CEO of our organization, though I've been working at KABOOM for the past 5.5 years and have spent most of my career focused on disinvested communities and kids. So I'm very proud to be in this position. I was named as CEO a couple weeks ago and had a wonderful predecessor who taught me well. I think it is important to have our voices helping to guide work, and to have women guiding the work. So we represent a big part of this population. So I just think that's really important. But I'll tell you what, KABOOM, we focus on making sure that kids have equitable access to play. And the problem that we're trying to solve for is that it is inequitable. That there are communities and cities across this country that are celebrated for having wonderful public space. And yet when you dig into it, it's wonderful public space for who? It's not Black and Brown communities. There are cities and school systems where all the schools, Black and Brown, where you have like 85% people of color, and there's no playgrounds in our kids' schools. There's no access to play spaces or public spaces in the parks, where we live. And so we exist to focus on that and address making sure that every single kid has equitable access to amazing places to play. As adults, I don't know that we often think about how important play was as part of our DNA and our blueprint, but really the playground and everything that we do when we play, it's kids' currency. It's where we learn to take risks, where we learn to fall and get up, build relationships. And so it is just such a necessary part of childhood. And we're in this situation where it's, there's amazing places to play across this country, and then there's no places to play.
I was gonna, excuse me for interrupting, but we talked a little bit off screen. I had two sons. I have two sons, but when they were young, one of the things that was really fun for us was to go discover new playgrounds.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the neighborhood where we live, there weren't any. So we would get in the car and go find playgrounds in other parts of the city, and it was like a day of discovery. Thanks to what I've seen KABOOM do, now, of course, they're grown, but there's a playground right down the street. You know, they're all over. And how do you decide where you're going to put these playgrounds? Is it something that the community asks for, or do you just go out and search?
We're growing like everybody else. You know, we're growing and trying to do better. We are aiming to use data to tell us where we build, and really data that is like looking at a whole school system or a whole park system or a whole city and saying, where is there not access to play? And 9.5 times out of 10, it's our communities, it's Black and brown communities. And so we're using that to say, okay, across this park system or this school system or in these child serving organizations, we want to be a part of fixing the problem. And so we build mostly in Black, brown, you know, we want to build more in Indigenous communities, but really where the need exists. It's challenging for us because we also have a relationship with funders. So our funders are generous enough to say, hey, we want to put some resources in place and lend a helping hand to do this work. And we do everything we can to make sure that they are directed to where the need is. And so that's how we decide where the need is.
So is there, I mean, if a community said, look, KABOOM, because I know that there are times that the community helps to build those playgrounds. But can someone contact KABOOM and say, look, we've got a site, would you all consider coming here? And if so, how would they do that?
Absolutely. You can go to kaboom.org and learn more about us. We have an application process for our community partners. And so that's the best way to reach out to us.
Well, I want to say thank you because one, people need to know who you are, and that when they see a new playground coming up, they know who to say thank you to. And we do, when this COVID thing is over, or at least this summer, we hope to see many kids out there really having a great time. And so thank you so much. And we hope we will get more playgrounds in the communities that need them.
Thank you as well. I want to encourage your viewers to go to our site and read. We've got a beautiful article that outlines the history of place-based inequity that is rooted in civil rights and segregation that I think really helps unpack kind of why we exist and where we came from, which I just think it's really important for our people to know about and read about. So I also want to encourage folks to go to our site and read that article.
Lysa, thank you so very much for being here.